What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing one of the most requested videos. It is every year. Like every year, this is one of the most requested videos. I think I missed out on doing this last year because I was a lazy piece of shit. But this year, we're not doing that. We actually brought somebody new aboard to go ahead and predict this record with me. That is WyattBDV. Wyatt is probably someone that a lot of you are aware of. He posts a lot of Saints highlights on YouTube, and also has moved into the commentating category as well. So he does make recaps, and he does talk about the Saints and all that type of shit, which is super dope. He joined my Discord when I first made it like 2 years ago, and we've been talking ever since, and it's good to see him move into the content creating realm. So I'm going to let him go ahead and introduce himself, and then we're going to go ahead and start this record prediction. How many games do you think the Saints will win? Leave down in the comment section below your answer, and let's see how far apart we are. So Wyatt, go ahead and take the floor. It's yours.
What's up, guys? I'm Wyatt. Happy to be here predicting the Saints schedule with NOS. For those who don't know who I am, I make Saints content very similar to what NOS does. I make Saints topic videos about like game recaps and updates, and I also make some highlight videos, post-game, player highlights, stuff like that. So if that interests you at all, feel free to subscribe. I'm sure my man has the link somewhere, but if it doesn't interest you, that's fine. Just go ahead and enjoy the rest of this video.
All right. Thanks, Wyatt. Let's go ahead and get this shit started. I will start off with week one, and how this works is I will say one game, and then Wyatt will alternate to the next, and we'll take turns until all 17 games are completed, and we have our final record prediction. It's a little bit of a longer video probably, but just stick in, stay with us, and see what this final record is going to be. So let's start with week one. The Saints season starts week one against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. So a road game to open up, pretty interesting. No matter the skill gap difference between these two teams, it's always an interesting matchup. But this year, it's a little different. Like we're seeing Drake London and Marcus Mariota facing the Saints defense, who ended last year allowing just 42 points in their last 5 games. Which is a really nice feat to have. Like, that's a big deal right there. Seeing as their premier player is a rookie that most people think was drafted too high and is probably going to be underperforming for the position he was selected at, and a QB that hasn't started an NFL game since 2019, it's hard to believe that they'll immediately gel and win against a proven defense like the New Orleans Saints. This is also a good opportunity for the Saints to flex their muscles with the return of Michael Thomas, debut of Chris Olave, and the start of Jarvis Landry's Saints tenure. I see the Saints winning pretty handedly here, somewhere in the ballpark of like 31-14. I don't think the Falcons are going to hang week one. But let me kick this over to Wyatt so we can cover week two.
After the Saints obliterate their division rivals to start the season, they host arch rival Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Saints home opener. As we know, the Saints have pretty much owned the Buccaneers for the most part ever since Brady's arrival. The Saints are 4-1 in those 5 matchups over the course of the past 2 seasons. However, there is something that may be more powerful than the Saints against the Buccaneers, and that will be the Saints' Week 2 curse. The Saints have not won a single game in Week 2 since that 2013 season, which was against the Buccaneers. That's pretty crazy to think about. This isn't the only reason I can see the Saints losing, though, because although we have played very well against the Bucs have seemed to play the Saints a little bit better when we play in New Orleans rather than in Tampa, which is kind of strange. And as a matter of fact, Tampa's only win against the Saints with Brady was that 30-20 playoff win, which Drew Brees went off to the sunset. Even last season, Brady was able to manage nearly 400 passing yards against the elite Saints defense, but ultimately lost due to turning the ball over 3 times, which included an awesome game-winning pick 6 by P.J. Williams. I still think Lattimore will lock up Mike Evans and all that stuff. The defense will play well. But ultimately, I see the Saints losing a very close battle. It's going to be kind of like the Week 8 game last year, but I see it going in the Bucs' favor. I'm going to say Tampa Bay wins by a score of 23-20.
All right, let's kick it off to week 3. We have the Saints at Panthers in Carolina. The Saints are coming off of a tough loss here to their biggest rivals at home. They travel to play their 3rd straight divisional game in a row, which is a really weird way to start a season, I'm not going to lie. This time, it's a trip to Carolina to face the Panthers. Now, don't write this off as an instant win. We all did that last year and managed to lose 26-7 to Sam Darnold. So let's not go ahead and do that shit again. The Saints, however, were missing their entire coaching staff and a handful of players due to COVID. So that game has a bit of an asterisk in hindsight. This is a new year, though, and both teams have different and new assets to offer. The Carolina Panthers are in the middle of a heated battle between Sam Darnold and ex-Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield for that starting quarterback position. Baker Mayfield is holding the light edge which honestly could spell an upgrade for the Carolina Panthers in all honesty. They'll also be getting one of the league's best running backs in Christian McCaffrey back, which is huge for them in ways I couldn't even put into words. The Saints are trotting into this game with their coaching staff, and a completely revamped offense. They will also have Will Lutz back, who tips the scale in the Saints' odds during clutch situations. Due to the Saints' longevity as a team compared to the freshness of this semi-rebuilt Carolina Panthers roster, I can see the Saints gel, carrying them to a slight win over Carolina. Think 24-17. Let's move on to week 4.
After going 2-1 in the first 3 games, all against the NFC South, the Saints will then travel to London to face another familiar foe in the Minnesota Vikings. We all know what the storylines are when it comes to these two teams, and that's going to be the recent playoff history. Enough said there, I don't have to go into the specifics when it comes to that. However, let's not act like the Vikings have completely owned the Saints recently. In fact, the last time these two teams met, Alvin Kamara scored a whopping 6 touchdowns on Christmas. I don't quite think that'll happen this time around, but I do think the Saints offense will have a pretty solid day against the Vikings secondary. It could throw the Saints off that they are playing in London, but for what it's worth, the Saints are 2-0 in London games. I think the Saints defense also matches up pretty well against the Vikings offense. Last time these teams met, Marshall Lattimore had a great game against Justin Jefferson, who I believe is the top 3 wide receiver in the NFL at this time. I'm sure Justin will get his, but I do expect Marshall to be more than up to the task. I also love the Saints D-line going up against the Vikings O-line, as well as the Saints run defense be able to contain Dalvin Cook. I also expect the other corners, Adebo and Roby, to be up to the task against Thielen and the other wide receivers. I think the Saints will win somewhat of a sloppy game just because if it's going to be at 8:30 in the morning or whatever it is. I'm going to say the Saints win 20-14.
Now, week 5, Saints versus Seahawks in New Orleans. After a road trip to London, the New Orleans Saints are coming back to the Bayou to play the Seahawks in a matchup that feels like a teeter-totter. Like, this teeter-totter has a fat kid on one side and an anorexic one on the other. Like, it is an extremely off-balance teeter-totter. I won't get too far into this pick as far as like the intricacies go, because to me personally it's pretty obvious. The Saints and Seahawks are two teams on a completely different mission. Seattle is currently in an open quarterback competition between Drew Lock and Geno Smith. Yeah, I'm sure everyone remembers the Russell Wilson trade. They also released Bobby Wagner, which only adds to the rebuild arc. It seems like they've blown things up, and I really don't think there's going to be a drastic competition here. They kind of fucking blow. I'm not going to lie. The Seahawks kind of suck ass. That might come back and bite me, but who cares? Especially at home, I see the Saints handedly taking this one somewhere in the range of like, I don't know, 34-21.
After a convincing win against the Seahawks, the Saints will face the biggest surprise team in the NFL last season, that being the Cincinnati Bengals. No one expected the Bengals to make it all the way to the Super Bowl last year, and they only got better on paper, obviously beefing up that offensive line. The biggest story for this game is definitely going to be all of the familiar LSU faces that are returning to the Superdome after their national championship season back in 2019. I think this is going to be one of those thriller-type games, and people will really begin to take note of the Saints as legitimate threats in the NFC playoffs. And I think the matchup of the day has to be Jamar Chase against Marshall Lattimore. I do think Lattimore will really perform well against Jamar Chase, but I do think Jamar Chase has such a great big play ability that he will be due for at least one big play touchdown against Lattimore. I think this game will go really back and forth, but ultimately you have the Bengals winning a very good, tightly contested game. I'm going to say Bengals win 28-24.
All right, fellas, we got week 7, Saints at Cardinals. This is an interesting game here. I don't know how I feel about the Cardinals. They're a bit of an off-the-wall team. They have a lot of inconsistencies. Like, we saw them start last season 7-0. Then they went 2-2 in their next 4, and then they managed to lose 5 of their last 7. They dead-ass finished the season 1-5 in their last 6 games. That is so booty water, it's not even funny. I think the Saints' offensive line matches up really well against the Cardinals' front 7, which struggles a lot of the time, especially with J.J. Watt being a revolving door of injury. The Cardinals are asking 2 rookies, Cameron Thomas and Majai Sanders, to replace the production of Chandler Jones on the edge. Like stated before, J.J. Watt is a good interior role player, but the health is always a question for him. This will allow the Saints to establish a good ground game, giving them the time of possession advantage while opening the airways for passing plays, which we know with the receiving core as deadly as ours spells trouble. Mixing this with the assumed rustiness of D-Hop, the questionable play and dwarfism of Kyler Murray, and the overall clamp worthiness of the Saints defense, it's hard to see Arizona pulling away with a win. I'm taking the Saints in this one, 24-21. Wyatt has a good game coming up. Saints versus Raiders.
The Las Vegas Raiders are a very interesting team heading into this upcoming season. Last season, they somehow made it into the playoffs with all the adversity and drama they faced along the way, squeaking out a lot of very close wins. They had a negative 68-point differential a season ago and went 10-7, including going 4-0 in their last 4 games that were all won by 1 possession. That being said, the Raiders traded for superstar wide receiver Davante Adams this offseason to bolster up their receiving core. They also acquired Chandler Jones, who should be a great complement to Max Crosby on that defensive line. This Raiders offense is scary, and it's hard to imagine a defense, even as elite as the Saints, isn't incapable of having a bad game, especially such a high-powered offense like the Raiders. I think this will be that one game this season in which the defense doesn't play very well. There's going to be a lot of questions around the media as well as Saints fans. Kind of like the Eagles game last year. There's always that one game where the Saints defense allows 30+. There's not a great game. I think the Saints can score plenty of points of their own against a questionable Raiders secondary, but I think the Raiders win a great game in the Superdome. I'm going to say Raiders win 38-33.
Now, let's go to week 9, the Saints versus Ravens at home. After a tough loss in a shootout versus the Raiders in the Dome, the Saints stay seated in New Orleans for a big game versus the Baltimore Ravens. With how much confidence I have in the Saints front 7, especially with them being a top 5 run defense in this league for the past like a million years, I'm extremely confident when it comes to facing run-heavy teams like this Baltimore Ravens team. Lamar Jackson is currently in contract negotiations with the Ravens. He has given them a week 1 deadline. John Harbaugh said, yeah, that shit's going to get done when I say it's going to get done. Don't know what's going to go on there. I'm not saying it's something like detrimental, but it is something to keep an eye on. A huge storyline here is that Marcus Williams will be making his return to the Superdome after spending 4 great years in New Orleans as a Saint before he signed with Baltimore this offseason. Again, the Ravens offense is super run reliant, and the New Orleans Saints defense is super run preventative. So that means that Lamar Jackson is going to have to outduel this extremely high-powered air New Orleans Saints attack, which I just don't think he's going to do with how inconsistent his passing ability is and with how bad the Baltimore Ravens wide receiver group is. I'm going to give this one to New Orleans 28-20.
After a great bounce-back performance by the Saints defense on Monday night, they will travel to face the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are a team that some people think are very underrated. I, however, do not buy into the hype, if you would call it that. You can say they upgraded that quarterback with the retirement of Ben Roethlisberger, and that's probably true. But whoever the quarterback is at this point in the season does not scare me. Whether it's rookie Kenny Pickett, the MVP himself, Mitch Trubisky, or even Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Whoever it is, it does not change my prediction. I think this will be one of those classic Saints road games in which the defense plays really well and allows the offense to get a groove going and have lots of favorable starting field position. I think by this point in the season, the Saints are going to be locked in and will take care of business against a team that they are simply just better than. I'm going to say the Saints win 27-13 on the road to improve their record to 7-3.
Week 11, we got Saints versus Rams at home. Not going to lie, this one is a little bit of a gut feeling combined. Me and Wyatt, like, we just have a gut feeling about this game. Like, it's so hard to see the Saints losing this one. I like our history versus Matt Stafford, and I know the Rams just won the Super Bowl, but the Saints play really good against defending champions / high-value teams. It happens every fucking year. I don't know. I'm not going to get into the technicalities of this game too much because I do honestly think the Rams are better than us on paper. I mean, it's kind of hard to disvalue that. But the Saints always win one game they really have no business winning. I think the crowd carries New Orleans to a shock-the-world victory over the Los Angeles Rams, 31-28.
At this point in the season, the Saints are riding extremely high, coming off a huge win against the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. They will travel to face another NFC West opponent, the 49ers. It has been confirmed that Trey Lance will be leading this team and not Jimmy Garoppolo, which is probably for the best. Trey Lance is a very interesting quarterback. You're probably either really high on him or you're pretty low. If Trey Lance can be around average for this team, I think the 49ers are going to be a huge threat when it comes to the NFC playoffs. Now, what do I think about the matchup itself? As we know, the Saints have a tendency to have letdown games after huge wins. I think that happens again, as much as y'all probably going to hate to hear it. Let's not pretend like beating the Rams, then losing to the San Francisco 49ers wouldn't be the most Saints thing to happen besides last season when then we beat the Bucks and then we lost to the Falcons. I think it's going to be a game the Saints just shoot themselves in the foot with costly penalties and some key turnovers against a pretty good 49ers defense. I think the Niners offense can get just enough done with their favorable field position to win the game and mix some things up with Debo in the backfield as well at wide receiver. I'm going to say the San Francisco wins 26-18.
Week 13 at Tampa. After a disappointing trap game loss to the 49ers, the Saints travel to face one one of the best teams in the NFL, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Before December 19th, 2021, I believed I saw everything possible in the NFL. There was something that I was missing that I didn't realize. Tom Brady being shut out. Who else to do that but the New Orleans Saints? We shut out Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in their own house with Taysom Hill at quarterback with 0 offensive weapons, scoring 0 touchdowns. How? I don't know, but it happened. Like I said, we didn't even score a touchdown and we still won. This defense loves playing Tom Brady, and we seem to play better in Tampa than in New Orleans when facing the Buccaneers. The Saints are 4-1 against Tampa Bay since Tom Brady's arrival, so I think it's safe to say that we win this game after dropping the one at home. I'm giving this one to the Saints in a low-scoring duel, 21-17.
Coming off a much-needed bye week and the yearly victory in Tampa, the Saints face the Atlanta Falcons for the second time. This Falcons team could be looking a lot different by this point in the season. Marcus Mariota may not even be the starter. I honestly think Desmond Ridder will be the starting quarterback at this point in the season, whether it be due to injury or because the Falcons coaching staff has simply seen enough of Mariota just eating shit. Remember when I said about letdown games earlier? Well, as a matter of fact, this exact scenario happened in 2021. The Saints beat the defending champs at the time, Tampa Bay, with Trevor Siemian at quarterback. Then they returned home to play Atlanta and trailed that game 24-6 in the fourth quarter before finally getting their shit together and mounting a comeback, only for Cordell Patterson to put it all to an end. Also, in 2019, the Saints entered their bye week 7-1 and played the 1-7 Falcons at home and got shit on 26-9. You can probably see where I'm going with this. I hate to be that guy, but I'm predicting another letdown loss. The Falcons will not be good this year, but this will be another weird game. Let's not act like the Falcons don't have weapons too. This could be a game where Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Cordell Patterson carry the load in order for Desmond Ridder to have an efficient game. The Saints offense could also come out flat, leading to a strange loss. I know I'm going to disappoint a lot of people by predicting this, but I got to keep the schedule prediction interesting. I'm going to say Falcons win 27-20.
Week 16, the Saints at Cleveland Browns. I will not predict a loss to a team hosting Deshaun Watson. That is all. Saints win 30-20.
I know what most of you guys are probably thinking. The Jalen Hurts-led Eagles, quote, own the Saints. Well, I'm about to debunk all of that. In Jalen Hurts' first start back in 2020, the Eagles won 24-21 and ended the Saints' 9-game win streak. But how impressive was that really? Taysom Hill was the quarterback, and needless to say, he's a tight end now and not a quarterback. So that's kind of all I'm going to say there. In 2021, the Saints were injured to hell. Trevor Siemian was the damn quarterback. At least Taysom's a playmaker. Siemian is just a game manager at best, and he was not his best in that game. He has 0 playmaking ability, and we didn't have Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and either starting tackles at the time. We had no chance in that game. This time will be much different. The Saints will be making a strong playoff push and will still be competing for a potential NFC South title. I think the Eagles are poised to have a great year in 2022 with the additions of A.J. Brown as well as the development of Jalen Hurts. But I think a healthy Saints offense will allow the defense to contain the heavy run scheme of Jalen Hurts much better this time. I'm going to say the Saints win 34-24.
All right, Week 18, Saints versus Panthers at home. I really don't like going deep into season finale games because you never know what situation you're going to be at, so I'm just going to pick the game. Like, I think that the Saints win this game if they're playing legit, but there is a chance that the Saints are either resting starters for the playoffs, if that's the case, or that this game, like this, maybe the Panthers are resting their starters for the playoffs. Hell, I don't know, dude. You don't know how this season is going to go. So I'm going to give this one to the Saints. I'm going to give us that win at home. I don't really need to go too in-depth here. Like I said, people can be resting their starters. It could be different. Week 18 is going to be an interesting week. This one's subject to change depending on the starters, their status for this game. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to the Saints in a victory. So that's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the collab. That gives the Saints a 12-5 record, which I feel like is pretty accurate. I don't know. Maybe I'm a homer. Maybe I'm not. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think is your record prediction for this season. I feel like we have a lot to look forward to. We have a lot of good weapons. We got a lot of new good players, and our coaching staff is phenomenal. It just depends on how it comes together. Like I said, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you stopping by, and I will see you boys in the next one. Adios.
Zero gravity falling. Like I'm jumping on a trampoline.